Hello, and welcome to the Scooby Zone, the podcast where Shaggy is the swingingest gymnast in school as we watch a bit of Scooby-Doo media. I'm Rob.
And I'm Katie.
And today, we'll be watching A Clue for Scooby-Doo. It is episode 2 of Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Episode 2!
Yay, we're on the second episode, finally.
We made it to 1.
We made it, guys. We made it.
So this is an episode that very fondly remember. Honestly, we probably could recite it all from memory without watching it.
We probably could, but in the light of
we'll watch it.
in the light of doing the podcast, we'll watch it with you guys. So
I do remember in my younger days, for whatever reason, I always thought that this was like the first episode of Scooby-Doo. And I don't know if it's just because this and What a Night for a Night are the only two of Scooby-Doo Where Are You that have a title card.
Oh, yeah.
That shows the monster of the episode. And all the rest of the episodes going forward just have a generic background and
the gang
a frame of the game running. And a lot of my exposure for this episode was on the VHS tape of Scooby-Doo's Greatest Mysteries. So I think because of that and having seen this more than What a Night for a Night, it kind of just made my brain think hey, this is the first when it's the second. But this is going to be a fun one.
It will be, I can tell. It's a fun one.
Any thoughts going into this episode?
I guess just that we're going to watch it as we did when we were kids. You know, just having a copy and being able to do it that way versus watching it on the generic media release.
Yep. Again, letting you all know, our email address is scoobyzonepodcast@gmail.com. Email us with all of your questions, comments, what you had for breakfast.
Why do we need to know what they had for breakfast?
Trying to start conversations with our fans.
Alrighty, okay.
Let them know that we care.
I suppose that would be a good idea nowadays. Let them know that we care.
Yep. But no, you guys are just great to us. We'll read it. We'll get back to you. We'll address it on the podcast when it's relevant or when we finally start getting mail.
Yeah, we'll see when that happens.
Pulling the curtain back a little bit, we are recording a lot of episodes prior to actually posting our first episode. So if you've already written to us and you don't hear us talk about it on the podcast for who knows how many episodes, we will address your, any questions or stuff that you want us to address on the podcast. We will address it. It's just, it may not be as soon as you might think it will be, because while the goal of the podcast, I don't think we stated this in our previous episode, is personally, I would like to cover and put out an episode, cover all of Scooby-Doo media and put out an episode every week.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Obviously, we are both adults with full-time jobs.
Yes.
And this is more of a hobby for us.
Yep.
As of now, we're not making any money off of this. That is a discussion we've been having. and we can share a little bit more of some of that discussion with you if we ever reach a decision there. But because of both having a full-time job, and I've got 2 kids of my own, so, I've got very limited free time. We try to record a couple of episodes at a time when we get together for recording, and I'm trying to get at least a 4 to 6 episode setup of recorded before posting the first episode, as a means of, one, having some content to kind of steadily come out right away, and that, 2, hopefully we will have a rhythm down of how much we can record at a time, how often are we able to get together to record. So, again, if you've already emailed us, one, good chance we've already responded to your email through email.
Yep.
And you've probably been given this spiel in writing. But we will be addressing stuff on the podcast when we are at that point. Time.
Yeah. In time, we will.
Yes. Along with, we haven't mentioned any sort of, Facebook page or Twitter page or any other social media platform that I am planning on putting our podcast on for, fan engagement.
Yep.
But none of that's been created quite yet, so that's why I haven't mentioned it here yet. But obviously by the time these are posted, those will have existed.
Yep.
But anyways, back to Scooby. We're watching A Clue for Scooby-Doo. It was the second episode, which means it came out, I want to say, September 20th of 1969. Might have to double check that later, but I'm pretty sure we are still at the point where Scooby is a weekly show.
Yep.
I don't think we're at the point where there's a couple of weeks between episodes. So again, we're going to go split up, look for some clues, and then we will be back to talk about the episode. And we're back. That was a great episode.
It was a really good episode.
Quick note, did double check it. Yes, this episode did air on September 20th of 1969. So, yay, we got that right.
Yay, at least we got something right.
Don't have to cancel us yet for
no, definitely don't
spreading
cancel
false information.
Yeah, we don't want that to happen.
But, alright, so should we go ahead and take it all from the top? Or...
Alright, let's get to it.
Okay. So, we open with, like we said earlier, just a fantastic title card.
Oh, yes. Definitely fantastic.
A lot more simple compared to the previous one that had... Because What a Night for a Night had Shaggy and Scooby along with the Black Knight Ghost.
Yep.
This was just Captain Cutler's ghost.
Right.
Spoiler for the ghost of the episode, I guess.
Yep, definitely a spoiler there.
But hopefully you would have watched it with us. And again, this show is nearly 60 years old, so...
Definitely.
But after the title card, we see some glowing footprints on the shoreline. Wave comes and washes them out. Camera pans out to the ocean to see a mysterious glowing diver going under the water.
Yep.
We see some headlights illuminate the sign for Rocky Point Beach, and it pans to reveal it's the Mystery Machine. The gang, I think it's Daphne says what a groovy spot for a beach party.
Yep. She says that.
Apparently, a beach party consists of just 4 kids and their dog.
That's apparently what it...
I didn't see any other
There were no other people there. No, there was nobody else there.
And Shaggy mentions he's ready to eat some chocolate-covered hot dogs.
Wasn't it chocolate-covered corn on the cob?
No, that's in...
Oh, that's in
Jeepers, It's the Creeper.
Okay, sorry.
This one is chocolate-covered hot dogs.
Okay.
Which is why he's shown later roasting hot dogs.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And Velma makes a disgusted sound because, honestly, like, how good can chocolate-covered hot dogs be?
His stomach must be made of scrap iron.
In which we learn Shaggy's first toy was a garbage disposal.
I don't know why you would have that as your first toy, but all right.
I mean, I guess.
I guess.
We then cut to Fred and Daphne dancing on the beach. Shaggy's roasting hot dogs over a fire.
Yep.
And Scooby's out surfing. In which, as he's paddling back out to the waves, his hand strikes something metallic and it raises up to be the head of a ghostly diver. In which Scooby dashes back to the shore, bumps into Shaggy, making the food disappear after it was all ready.
All ready to go, and we can't even enjoy it.
The gang catch sight of the diver. They run to safety, and when they come back out, the diver's going back underwater. Next day at the malt shop, Fred is reading the newspaper, in which it's talking about how another yacht had mysteriously vanished, and that the article talks about a man named Ebenezer Shark, who's blaming it on the ghost of Captain Cutler, who was supposedly a ship captain who mysteriously disappeared after his boat was hit by one of the fancy yachts. Leaving the malt shop, they go and talk to Ebenezer Shark to, find out how Captain Cutler died and get some more information. While they're talking, Scooby is sniffing and wanders off and ends up below deck, just stumbling upon a dive suit that is apparently bigger than a Great Dane.
It apparently somehow is bigger.
And, yeah, I don't know how much you know about Great Danes, but they are big dogs.
Yep, they're very big dogs. It must be an oversized diving suit or something.
Honestly, I don't even think a fat person would have a dive suit big enough to cover a Great Dane.
Probably not, but this is Scooby-Doo animation.
Yeah.
It's always not going to make any sense, but...
The gang is alerted to the noise Scooby's making, trying to get the dive suit off of him, in which Ebenezer Shark mentions that Scooby found his old diving suit, and Fred immediately becomes suspicious of Ebenezer Shark. So, they decide to split up. Fred and Daphne will stay to keep an eye on Ebenezer Shark, while Shaggy, Velma, and Scooby go off to talk with... to the old lighthouse to talk with Widow Cutler. When they are there, Scooby is asked to knock on the door. And here's the first of one of Scooby's many famous quote-unquote injuries and excuses, in which he has a hurt paw. So, if you want to, you can go ahead and take a drink for that. Preferably something non-alcoholic. We do not want to cause any sort of alcohol poisoning if you are binge watching a bunch of these episodes.
Oh yeah, probably not a good idea.
Because if you're binge listening to these podcast episodes, There might be many times where we tell you to take a drink.
Take a shot.
Velma's glasses, Scooby's injuries. I'm sure there'll be some other ridiculous things that
yes,
we'll
there will be other
with.
ridiculous things that we'll come up with at some point that you'll be made aware of.
Yep. But anyways, so they go and into the lighthouse, find out that apparently Mrs. Cutler practices witchcraft and says that, she cast a spell that caused Captain Cutler's death. Scooby takes a wooden spoon out of a pot over a fire to take a sip of the water, assuming it's soup or whatnot, in which we then find out it's just laundry. I swear that happens to Scooby way too many times.
Yep.
Up to you if you want to take a drink for that.
We could mention that too.
But that doesn't happen nearly as frequently, so
no, it does
you might be
not.
safer with the stronger drink there if you want. And if you're old enough to drink.
You have to be old enough to
Don't drink
first.
Kids.
Don't do it.
As they leave, they see a pile of something. They see a glowing something on the beach. They go down thinking it's Captain Cutler, and then they see it go into a drain pipe. And Velma points out to Shaggy that Scooby is the only one small enough to fit in there. In which, take another drink, because Scooby goes off, comes back wearing an oversized shirt stuffed with pillows, and says he's too fat. So twice in one episode. So Scooby is then given a Scooby snack to go in, and he comes out with a pile of glowing seaweed that was being dragged by a small little mouse. So that's a drink for a feud with an animal.
Oh, God. Feud with an animal?
Scooby has a lot of feuds with animals.
Yeah, that's true.
It's...
Whoops.
Poor Scooby.
I know. I can't believe it myself, but...
They find, reading in a biology book about the glowing seaweed, they find and discover that it's common in an area known as the Graveyard of Ships, which is apparently where Captain Cutler's boat went down. So they go and get some diving gear and a boat, and they head out to the Graveyard of Ships. Along the way, they see one of the fancy yachts just on its own, jetting along the water, engine off, no crew on board. And, they find that kind of suspicious. So they follow it into a little cove area where it just vanishes. And instead of looking around that area a bit more, they just head on off back to the Graveyard of Ships. As one does.
Mm-hmm.
After a little bit of coaxing to get Scooby to go under the water, they end up, they're all down under there. They split up. Shaggy and Scoob going one way, Fred, Daphne, and Velma going the other. In which Fred, Daphne, and Velma, they discover a body inside of a cabin on a wrecked yacht that Daphne wonders if that could be Captain Cutler's, if that specifically Captain Cutler's ghost. So they go in to take a look, and it's pointed out that suit's old-fashioned. It's been down there for at least 100 years.
Yep.
And behind them, the door closes and they get locked in. And we see Captain Cutler's ghost running away. We then cut to Scooby, noticing Captain Cutler's ghost running away. in which Scooby inflates his dive suit using air from his air tank. Shaggy punctures it, in which sending Scooby hurtling towards the ghost. But Scooby flies out of control, flies through another wrecked ship, and discovers a cache of scuba tanks. Some glowing and some not. Scooby quickly goes back to Shaggy to let him know, in which then they start getting chased by the ghost. They do the first of their classic runaway disguises, in which it's just something simple. They're posing as ship figureheads on the front of some downed ships before the ghost, catches up to them. Shaggy tries to light a cannon underwater, forgetting that matches don't work underwater.
Yep.
While they're running, they eventually run into the door that was keeping Fred, Daphne, and Velma locked up. Letting them out. Scooby mentions to them that he found a clue and, takes them to it to show them. And while they are there, it is noticed that there are glowing footprints on the ocean floor.
Yep.
So they follow them, leading them to a dead end at a cliff where the footprints go into the cliff. Fred mentions that, this is roughly the same area where the yacht they saw earlier vanished. Shaggy, being tired, sits down on a rock.
Yep.
And, he bleaches his hair as one does when you sit on rocks underwater.
What else would happen? There's nothing else that would happen when you sit down on them.
Yeah. And, Shaggy starts to sink. And the rock seems to trigger a secret opening.
Secret opening. Secret entrances.
Yeah. So they go in. And they find a nice little underwater cavern that they're able to, get out of the water, take their scuba helmets off. And they find a whole bunch of missing yachts. One that's in the one that they had seen earlier, tied to a miniature submarine, and is in the process of being repainted. So we've got our crime of grand theft boatjacking.
Oh boy.
And it's then decided that because 2 and 2 make 5.
Yes. What else would it make? That's...
that they're going to set a trap to catch the ghost. So hey, it's our first trap.
It is our first trap. You're right.
And it's a pretty simple one.
Pretty simple.
They put a bar of soap into a spray bottle container that they somehow manage to attach to a fire hose, that when they turn on the hose, it'll just produce sudsy water. I'm no expert. I'm not quite sure how exactly that works.
It's a cartoon, again.
There's got to be some real logical basis here.
It's a cartoon logic. It doesn't have to make sense.
It would make better sense if it did make sense. But anyways, so the plan is they'll turn on the water, instant sudsy water, slip up the ramp that they expect the ghost to go down, in which he slips, falls into a net that Shaggy and Scooby will then hoist up. To lure the ghost in, they're just going to run a whole bunch of bells and sirens. Which, that part of the trap works.
Yep, that part of the trap works and makes sense.
That successfully got his attention.
It did.
Where it falls apart, they turn on the water.
Yep.
Fred and Daphne immediately let go of the hose.
Why would you let go of the hose?
It ends up getting grabbed by Shaggy, who apparently is light enough that the hose is now whipping him back and forth. And, Scooby gets all sudsed up, falls into a boat, accidentally switches the boat on.
Oh, why is he switching everything on?
I know. But at least the boat makes sense. It's on the water.
It's on the water.
The gasoline in the airplane in the museum makes no sense. Which, if you missed it, that's from What a Night for a Night. That's how they stop the Black Knight ghost.
That is how it works.
That while Scooby is cruising around, unable to see in a boat, ends up going up a ramp, crashing right on top of Captain Cutler's ghost.
Yep.
In which, now there's a hole in the boat where he's sticking through it. Scooby, stop running these vehicles you're commandeering in the middle of these, trying to trap them and running them into people.
How else are we supposed to get them when part of the trap doesn't work to begin with? Everyone's got to play their part.
You don't need to make the fake ghosts real ghosts.
It's cartoon animation. It's not going to do that.
We don't know that.
Oh, yes, we do.
Eventually there's going to be a Scooby project where one of these people is going to end up dead and their ghost is going to haunt Scooby.
That is probably fairly true. So hopefully it never comes to that.
But with the ghost caught, they unmask him by taking off his diving helmet. And it's nobody they recognize. It's not Ebenezer Shark,
nope.
Like they thought.
Yep.
In which then Shaggy gets a brilliant idea, grabs some seaweed, and puts it on the guy's face like it's a beard.
Why would
and
you
asks everybody there if it reminds them of the picture that's on Widow Cutler's wall. When in reality, only Velma would be able to verify that.
That would only be Velma.
Fred and Daphne weren't there.
They have no idea what he's talking, but they go along with it anyway.
In which, the ghost of Captain Cutler is Captain Cutler.
I would hope so. I hope the ghost would be the same guy that was in.
We end our episode back at the malt shop.
Yep.
They're reading the newspaper.
Again.
About how their involvement with the mystery led to the, arrest of Captain Cutler, faking his death, so they could steal the boats, and, they would paint them, resell them, and then he used, the Scooby tanks that Scooby had found to continuously, operate underwater to avoid suspicion. And, the seaweed that grows in the graveyard gave his suit the glow effect. They are, as they're reading, they are distracted while Scooby is first trying to steal Shaggy's malt.
Yep.
And which Shaggy stops him by cutting the giant straw Scooby put into his.
Yep.
But then Scooby takes a drink out of his and somehow manages to drink all of their malts.
How did Scooby do that?
And that is another mystery. So, that is where our episode ends. So, we've got stuff to talk about now.
Yes, we do, don't we? Yes.
Oh,
man.
So, alright. No danger proneness from Daphne this week.
No, I guess not. But, there'll be more coming.
We have a trap. We can put it on our trap rankings.
Yes.
We do not have a name for this table of ranking of the traps.
We do not.
So, if you guys want to come up with a brilliant, amazing name,
we would be
go right ahead.
That. Yes, go ahead. Make it up for us.
But so obviously, what would we even call this trap? Fire hose soap.
Instant suds.
So, as of right now, the number one trap of Scooby-Doo, where are you, is instant suds.
That's a perfect one. Suds. I like it.
So, total number of Scooby snacks eaten, I believe, is up to 3.
Yeah, I think that sounds about right.
I believe it was only 2 in What a Night for a Night, and he's only given one here
in this episode.
So,
which is interesting.
Animation errors.
The obvious one.
the super obvious one, Shaggy immediately getting blonde hair after sitting on a rock.
Yep.
I am sure there's probably a lot more that we may have missed.
Yes.
Some that might be kind of disputed. I don't know if anybody else has noticed it, but I swear at some point when they're underwater, Daphne's voice coming out while Velma is speaking.
Yes.
So again, that could just be a side effect of we watched this on an old VHS tape.
It could be.
So for all we know, like on a DVD or a Blu-ray where audio and picture quality might be a little more improved, that may or may not be
there.
Better for clarification on that, but we'll bring it up right now.
We'll bring it up.
We'll mention it. Anybody who watched it on DVD or Blu-ray who want to tell us, oh no, we're wrong about that, go right ahead.
Mm-hmm.
We want you guys to be involved and engaged.
Yes, we want you to be involved in what we're doing and want you to feel like you're a part of the Scooby Zone.
Right. But then, so, Manifest of Monsters.
Yes.
So, ooh. Captain Cutler's Ghost.
Yep.
Better or worse than the Black Knight Ghost?
That's a tough one. I mean, he's a good one too, but I
Now, have you decided exactly what the criteria is? Is this just purely based off design, their motives, or just how we feel about them in general?
I think, it's hard to say. I don't remember how we.
I think design-wise,
it was a ranking of villains and monsters, kind of how we were doing it.
Yeah, I think design-wise, I like Captain Cutler's Ghost better than the Black Knight Ghost. Just because, with the glowing seaweed, a little bit more involved than just a suit of armor.
That is true. Yeah.
Effectiveness is I think Captain Cutler's Ghost did less than the Black Knight did.
Yeah, I think so too. Even though he ran around a lot.
Yeah, lots of running around. Locked, half the gain into a room.
Yeah.
But at the same time, was very absent while while the investigation was all going on.
Yeah, he wasn't around us.
So yeah, this is we're at a point where this is really a tough one.
Right.
I think I'd almost put him above the Black Knight Ghost.
Okay.
Again, just because his design's a little more intricate.
Right.
And
a lot more to it than just a man in a armor.
He's the first one where it wasn't so obvious a suspect. It isn't, he is and he isn't. Mm-hmm. Yeah, duh. Obviously, Captain Cutler's Ghost.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But, the gain had no interactions with Captain Cutler.
No, they did
Their
not.
only interactions were with Ebenezer Shark
Yep.
and Widow Cutler.
Right.
You know, in which Ebenezer Shark seemed more of the suspicious character.
He did seem more suspicious.
Whereas in What a Night for a Night, like, their biggest interaction was with the museum curator.
Yep.
Who was the Black Knight Ghost.
Who was the Black Knight. Yeah.
So, okay. So right now on the Manifest of Monsters, number 1 is Captain Cutler's Ghost. Number 2 is the Black Knight Ghost.
Yep.
It's a good thing this is still manageable.
It is very good. It's still manageable.
So, going from that to our table of snacks. How many Scooby snacks do you give this episode?
On a scale of what, 1 to 5?
Yeah. So, for all you listeners out there, you know, 1 Scooby snack, just terrible. Get out of here. 5 Scooby snacks, great, phenomenal, best of the best. And then, you know, the corresponding numbers in between.
Right, the corresponding. I mean, I think it deserves a 4. I mean, it's not.
Yeah.
You get Fred's Traps. It's not as good as some of the other ones.
Yeah.
But it's still a very good episode that a solid 4.
Yeah.
I think we could agree.
You know,
on
the
that.
fact like we got a trap.
Yep.
You know, it's like it's very much in the Scooby-Doo formula.
It is. Yes.
It's pretty much like honestly like on paper, and this is after decades of Scooby media. That on paper, this episode almost hits every single thing you expect from a Scooby-Doo episode. And the things that, in my opinion, it's missing are things that weren't added until much later after this episode. You know, it's missing the iconic, and I would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for those meddling kids lines.
Yep.
But that line won't be mentioned for quite a while, I believe. Yes. Like, we will make a big deal when that is finally said in the show.
We'll make a good deal out of it. We'll get there.
You know, it's missing the musical chasing number. But those didn't exist until the second season of Scooby-Doo. Where Are You?
Yep.
But we get a trap. We get the gang splitting up in a 2-to-3 ratio of Shaggy and Scooby on their own, and then Fred, Daphne, and Velma. You know, we get Shaggy and Scooby trying to outsmart the monster by, you know, a disguise. Sure, this was just a simple ship figurehead.
Sure.
Nothing elaborate, but, you know, again, they were underwater. Worked. It's not like there's much they could do.
There's not much they could do.
So, yeah, I'd say a solid 4.
I think so, too. Yeah.
You know, just phenomenal showing so far.
Right. One of the best. What did we put for... What was the ranking for What a Night for a Night? Was it like a 3 or something?
That was a 5.
Well, I know I rated it as 5. What did you rate it? Well, I rated it as 5 because it was the first one, but I liked just the setup of it.
Yeah, I went with a
3 or 3.5.
It's put on the sheet as a 5, so...
Oh, okay.
You know, it was the first episode, like it had...
Right.
You know, not trying to let a lot of the future stuff hold it back.
Right.
So, yeah, you know, I could concede I'm giving it a 5 for that. And, you know, this, you know, again, solid entry. So, you know, a nice, respectable 4. It doesn't have the extra push of being the first to push it into a 5.
Right.
But again, you know, still a solid, you know, it's not like... Honestly, I think it's going to be a long time before we hit something that hits, like, down at 1.
Yeah, it's going to be a while before
we
get that far.
And even then, like, I think for an episode to truly get hit with a 1,
yep.
I think you and I would both have to just absolutely hate it.
Hate the episode, yep.
That I think even an episode that one of us dislikes, but the other one does like,
yep,
could still at least hit it, like, come to a comparable 2.
Or 3, depending on what.
Yeah. again, depending on, which era of Scooby we've made it to.
Yeah, that would definitely happen sometime.
That is at least, by small rough calculation, a year or two away.
Yeah, that probably sounds about right.
That just going off quick math numbers, even if we hit 52 episodes in a year, all of Where Are You and the new Scooby movies would take up all of our year one.
Right.
With, and 41 episodes of the Scooby-Doo show takes up most of year two.
Right.
So, depending on how well things are going, year 3 is when we're hitting the Scrappy-Doo era.
The Scrappy-Doo area.
And,
yep.
Yeah, that is both going to be a fun time and a not so fun time.
Yes, it will definitely be like that.
As, many longtime fans of Scooby know, Scrappy-Doo is one of the most, if not the most, divisive characters ever introduced into the franchise.
Yes.
I know personally I can tolerate him in small doses.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff with him in fluctuates in its quality.
Yeah.
But we'll get there when we get there.
Yes.
So next episode, Hassle in the Castle.
Hassle in the Castle. All right. Episode 3, everyone.
Yeah, that is going to be... Well, we'll get there.
We'll get there. Yep. Well,
I have feelings about that episode.
Yes, I know you do.
They're not good feelings. They're not bad feelings. They're just feelings.
No. Yeah.
So, friendly warning. Don't sit on underwater rocks to bleach your hair.
No, don't do that. No.
Big problem. There's no oxygen down there.
Nope.
It's going to be hard. And it's hard to bleach your hair with a helmet on.
It's very hard, but yet somehow we make it.
Do it at home or at a salon.
Yep.
Don't do it underwater sitting on a rock.
Don't do it underwater. Nope.
But until next time, remember, email us, ScoobyZonePodcast@gmail.com. Tell us your thoughts, we'd like to hear from you. So, till then, remember, they would have gotten away with it too.
If it weren't for those meddling kids.